Hello, welcome back to another episode of Fuel for Thought, where, well, this was a long weekend. Sprint weekend. Early one, 4 a.m. start, followed by an 8 a.m. start on the same day.
Yep.
Followed by an 8 a.m. start the next day.
Yep.
And an 8:30 a.m. start on the Friday as well. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't planning on getting up for the sprint until I watched sprint qualifying and Lando Norris got P1.
yeah.
And then I made the decision, yes, I was going to get up
And
at
Nico
4 a.m.
Rosberg said, you better get up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
And we listened to Nico. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I ended up getting up for 4 a.m. It actually worked out quite well because I then went back to sleep.
Oh, it took me ages to get back to sleep.
I went back to sleep straight away, sleeping like a baby.
I didn't even move out of my bed. I just whacked up on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I made the effort to get up and go to the sofa.
I was just like, oh, it's 4 a.m. Just get up on my phone, watch it from there.
That's fair.
But yeah, should we talk about the sprint?
Yes. So, qualifying, obviously, Lando Norris.
Yeah.
So, it was a bit of a confusing one, really, because I was watching it and I was texting you and you were a little bit ahead of me.
Yes.
And I was like, Lando! And then I was like, no, because his lap time got deleted. Mm-hmm. And then
it got reinstated. So from what I understand, the reason for that is that he went off on the last corner before his flying lap. And generally, just as like a rule of thumb, the stewards will delete, obviously, the lap he went off because it went off.
Yep.
And then delete the next lap because in sort of normal racing conditions or dry conditions, if you go off at the last corner, it means you're taking a quicker line and gaining an advantage by going off the track. And so obviously gaining speed on the straight. And so they'll generally delete the next lap as well because obviously going off impacts that lap.
Yep.
But I think McLaren obviously appealed to the stewards' common sense and was like, look, come on. He went two tyres in the gravel. There's no way he gained an advantage.
Yeah.
He obviously looked at the telemetry, saw that he probably, or almost definitely was slower by going off.
Yeah.
And reinstated it, which, yeah, I guess is a fair decision. It's nice to see them using set common sense in their decision making, but also the rules shouldn't leave any room for interpretation.
No.
And if they're going to use, reasonable judgment in certain rulings, they should use it consistently.
Yeah. It was a bit confusing, I would say, because all of a sudden they're deleting and then reinstating lap times. There's
only one.
Okay, yeah. But, yeah. I don't know if I just missed it, but I didn't really hear an explanation behind it when they reinstated it.
Yeah, I think Crofty said that was the reason.
Okay.
And
so it was
I'm led to
said
believe
then.
that that's correct as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was great to see Lando obviously in P1.
But one of my predictions on the on the predictions podcast, the last one, was that the more experienced drivers will generally qualify better.
Yep.
And trend sort of upwards compared to their relative position to how good their cars are.
Yep.
And we saw the likes of Hamilton and Alonso kind of smashing it in the rain.
P2 and P3.
Yeah. Looking like pole and front row.
Yeah.
At one point.
I mean, Hamilton was obviously pole at one point, and then obviously Lando's lap came back. So yeah, it was.
I'm taking credit for that.
Yeah, well, yeah. In the sprint race, it kind of showed.
Yeah.
But the actual race, kind of not really.
Yeah, no. When Hamilton qualified 18th, it was like, oh man, well, this is a bit of a mixed bag now.
Yeah.
But I'm still claiming it for the sprint race prediction.
Okay, well done. So yeah, we had Lando, Hamilton, and Alonso.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. Max Verstappen P4.
It shows, I think it's a bit of timing and a little bit of luck in the rain. Like, obviously a lot of talent as well. You've got to be sort of up there and in it. Mm-hmm. But, it only takes going off once to ruin your lap. So it's like, you got to get the right time in towards the end, or like get the right time on the track.
Yeah.
To get that good time, because what is tenths of a second gaps becomes like 1 second, 2 second gaps in the rain. So it's like, I think obviously there is an element of luck, but it's also like skill as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think Lando's really good in the wet weather.
yeah, and it also proves how kind of good Lando is.
Yeah.
But I think Max very well could have got pole under the right circumstances too.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Max is good in all weathers.
Yeah.
Nothing really phases him, but obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So there's about
Wasn't
4
good
drivers
timing.
there that were kind of it. Well, probably more than 4, maybe 5 or 6, including the Ferraris.
Yeah.
But that were in full contention. The great equalizer, they say, is
What the
Rain, yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the race.
yeah. Let's talk about the race.
Oh, the
Turn
sprint,
one.
the sprint race.
Yeah.
So obviously, wake up at 4 a.m. excited. Lando Norris could get his first sprint race win. Then Hamilton, obviously, he didn't push him off.
He was as aggressive as he was allowed to be within
Yeah.
the limits, which
Yeah.
is like it was good, hard racing.
Yeah, well, obviously not great because obviously Lando's
Yeah.
my favourite driver, but I enjoyed that kind of racing where it was fair racing.
On the limit.
Yeah, on the limit.
I mean, in the
aggressive.
end, he forced him into a mistake.
Yeah.
Because he just kind of, I think he did he lock up or he understeered off the track?
Yeah,
in
he
the end?
understood. Yeah, but Hamilton definitely left him enough room.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think if Lando had conceded to Hamilton, the McLaren's faster than the Mercedes, so he definitely could have just overtaken him later on in the sprint race.
Yeah.
But obviously,
But then he would be vulnerable to the cars behind him.
Yeah.
So, in
Yeah.
terms of like on turn 1, anyway, even though he got overtaken by like 5 of them.
true. I mean, I would understand it if Verstappen was directly behind him, but you had Alonso behind him, and the McLaren is also faster than the Aston Martin. Although obviously Alonso is very good at his race starts, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, it was nice to see Hamilton in front again.
Yeah,
Even though
for 9 laps.
his car this weekend, God, it was. Yes, obviously Max is smashing it in that Red Bull, and yes, that car is dominant. But the fact that the Mercedes was in P2 made it look even more dominant, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of the 4th, 5th best car, and it was awful on this track this weekend.
Yeah.
It was not great. Yeah. Hamilton owes Alonso a drink, I think.
Yeah, Alonso managed to keep everyone else behind.
Yeah, because if
for
he
a good amount of
if
time.
he didn't keep them behind for as long as he did, then Lewis would have been very vulnerable. I
Yeah.
don't think he would have kept P2.
No.
So
I
he kind
agree.
of- yeah, he was there on merit and good qualifying, but in that car, kind of it was a bit out of position, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he did outperform the car, but also, yeah, if Fernando Alonso hadn't have held up all those cars, would he have come P2? No.
But I'm glad he did.
Yeah,
it's nice
it was
to see.
It was kind of
the
good to
result.
see. Obviously, I know the cars are not even in the same category, but it was good to see Verstappen and Hamilton kind of at the front again. But Hamilton didn't really defend Max that much.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, he just kind of let him past.
Yeah,
But yeah, obviously Alonso had some good racing. Those 4 cars, it was Alonso, Sainz, Leclerc, and Perez.
yeah, and the Ferraris got a bit racy, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did. So obviously Fernando tapped Carlos, got a puncture.
Yeah, after all that.
Yeah, I know.
Such a shame.
It is a shame. And I think he got 3 penalty points for that as well. So 3 penalty points is quite a lot
Yeah.
for that. I don't know. I don't really understand why he got 3 penalty points, but never mind. I think it was for that. I don't know if there's anything else that he did.
Must have been.
Obviously, yeah, Carlos pushed Charles off the track. I saw in Charles's interview that he was
Yeah.
not very happy about that. But I don't know why they're, well, I kind of do understand why they're,
Well, I guess it's a bit of
squabbling.
a free-for-all in
Yeah.
that team right now.
but
And then also, Alonso and Sainz fighting just let Perez straight past
yeah,
both of them.
yeah. It reminded me of the through goes
Yeah,
Hamilton.
it wasn't quite a through goes Hamilton
No,
moment.
no.
Only because I think that was such a hype moment at Silverstone on fighting for P2 in a race.
Yeah,
Where it was kind of anyone's game, whereas this was a sprint where the Red Bull was so much quicker.
yeah.
So,
But no, yeah, exactly. It let Perez through because he was behind them both. Easy pickings. But yeah. And then Lando managed to finish P6, I think, after all that. But I think he quickly put that behind him.
But shout out to the hometown hero,
Yeah.
Joe. It's a shame that it was a sprint race and
It
not
was a
points down to
shame,
10th.
yeah.
Because where did he come in the end? Was it 9th, I think?
Yeah, I think
Just
so.
outside
I
the
think,
points.
Didn't him and Valtteri come side by side? But yeah, they did really well in the sprint. One of my predictions was that Zhou would make Q2. I did say in the race, which he didn't, but in the sprint race, he made Q2. Well, he made Q3 in qualifying.
So did Bottas, didn't he?
So did Valtteri Bottas. So the kick Saubers did quite well. And then, yeah, in the race, if it was a real race, then they would have got points. But obviously, they were outside the points for the sprint race. But yeah, it showed the potential of the car this weekend. But it's just a shame about the race. But it was obviously good viewing for the spectators.
Yeah, it was a good sprint in the end.
Yeah.
I would say.
I would say it was definitely worth waking up for.
Just about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. George Russell, he was the only one on the softs in the sprint.
Made it work though.
Made it work.
He actually had a pretty solid weekend overall.
Yeah. Oh, I know he didn't qualify well because of the rain, but yeah, I think he made it work.
Yeah, but for normal qualifying, he did okay.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, the sprint did his best.
Right, let's move on to the race, shall we?
Okay.
So, obviously, after an impressive sprint, Hamilton then qualified 18th.
Yeah.
And blamed it on a drastic setup change. Don't know, he just seems to be a bit fed up now and just like, oh, I'm just going to try this. Oh, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Crap. Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
I think it was in the race, so lap 2, he was moaning about his tyre choice as well.
Yeah. He sat on the
So-
softs, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. So that, yeah, he just didn't seem happy. Yeah, it's a bit of a drastic change from one end to the other. But he made it up to P9. P9?
Yeah.
Yeah, P9 in the end. So he managed to get points. But yeah, the fifth fastest car, you kind of expect them to be P9.
And Russell did well. I think he came one place higher than he probably should have because Alonso made not Alonso. Aston Martin made a bit of a strategy blunder
They did indeed. Because they put him on the softs.
for some reason.
Was that under the VSC?
I can't remember.
I think they pitted him during the VSC.
For
So
softs, yeah.
Or just before, maybe, I can't remember. But so he locked up a bit under the VSC, which caused a disastrous effect for Daniel Ricciardo
But-
and Racing Bulls.
So let's start from the top. Obviously, another Verstappen win.
Yeah.
Not really much to say
Tick.
about that. Whatever.
Yeah, Verstappen won again.
Yep.
No surprise to anyone.
Now, what is surprising is Lando Norris wedging himself between the two Red Bulls.
Yeah.
I know Perez had damage, I think,
Did he?
or an issue.
I don't know.
Not damage, no. I think he got caught up behind someone and then used up a lot of his tyres and then he couldn't catch Lando.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. I was surprised because I didn't expect the McLaren to be that good this weekend. I expected Ferrari to be better than McLaren.
Well, they were better than Piastri. I think Piastri had an average weekend for his higher standards.
Yeah, I think Piastri. I heard Piastri was about just over 40 seconds behind Lando Norris.
Yeah.
So that
He wasn't as kind on his tyres over the course of the weekend.
and also Piastri did have damage as well
Yes, he did in the end from
Ricciardo. Yeah. But yeah, Max beat Lando by what 12 seconds.
It would have been more if there wasn't a safety car.
Yeah,
so-
and Perez was behind Lando by about 4 seconds, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
So
something like
that
that.
means that he was 16, 17 seconds behind Max.
But Horner said that, he did the most out of the strategy, I guess. And it's like, I suppose they managed their expectations with him because he knows his place as the driver that supports Max Verstappen, and they wanted to get as many points as they can with him in the team.
Yeah, true. I just struggle with it because obviously I just find it quite underwhelming.
Yeah.
When Perez gets P3 on the podium, on the podium, because
it is.
because he should be getting, like, Max Verstappen is that far ahead. And Perez is kind of in the mix between the Ferraris and McLarens, and when Max is so far ahead, how come Perez is just still in that mix?
I guess from a spectator's point of view, it's like you want the two top drivers in the best team, but Red Bull don't. They want the driver that's going to get a win every weekend, and then the driver that's never going to be able to challenge them and get P2s, P3s.
Yeah,
and
back
just
him up.
Exactly.
And obviously Perez has proven to be a good teammate for Max's championships in the past. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I do get it. But then it's just a shame, really, because...
It's not fun to watch.
No, it's not as fun to watch. But it was exciting to see, obviously, Lando in P2 beating that Red Bull. Ferrari didn't really have the pace this weekend.
P4 and
P5, yes, but...
Is it Leclerc and then Sainz?
Yes,
Yeah.
Leclerc
So
beat
Leclerc
Sainz.
got one back.
Yeah, he did.
He was certainly better over the course of the weekend.
Yeah.
Quicker.
Yeah. It's just they're always kind of next to each other on the standings at the end of the race. So it's just quite clear that they're quite equal in talent. It's
funny seeing the reactions online, because when he wins, it's like, oh, why hasn't he got a seat? I'm talking about Carlos.
Okay.
Why hasn't he got a seat? Oh, he's like one of the best drivers on the grid. He's the only one to win except Max over the last, 30 races or whatever it is. And then suddenly he becomes behind Leclerc and has a little bit of a battle with him, and it's like, oh, he's so overrated. Like, look, he's just being a baby, like complaining whenever he's behind Leclerc. It's like, come on, make up your mind, guys.
this is the thing as well. Like, I feel like everyone just always says that certain drivers are overrated when they're just not. Obviously, Carlos Sainz is not overrated. Lando Norris is not overrated. Charles Leclerc is not overrated or underrated. I don't know. It's just people just like to moan about certain things that people do.
They're all top drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ferrari didn't do as well as I expected this weekend, because if I remember correctly, I put them both on the podium and they didn't.
You did, yes.
Yeah.
So bit of a not uninteresting race from them, to be honest. Brought it home where they should have.
Yeah.
Possibly should have got ahead of Norris, but he drove a great race.
Yeah.
Didn't put a foot wrong, really.
Managed his tyre as well. Yeah, driver of the day, managed his tyre as well, managed the one stop. So that was really good. Obviously, he almost got screwed over by the VSC, but he managed to pit.
Well, yes, yeah.
Who was he covering off? Was it Alonso?
It might be Piastri. No, it might be Alonso.
I can't remember.
So, was it... where did Piastri come in the end?
P7.
I thought George came P7.
George came P6, I believe.
Oh, yes, that's right. No. Did he? Did he come... Oh, yeah, he came ahead of Piastri.
Yeah, definitely came ahead of Piastri, because
okay, so George
Alonso
P6.
was chasing Piastri, Hamilton was chasing
Piastri
Alonso.
P7, Alonso P8, Hamilton P9.
Yep.
And
Nico
Hülkenberg P10. Another point for Haas.
Yep. Well done, Haas.
There you go.
Yeah, Haas did quite well this weekend, but I would say that Kick Sauber definitely should have done better than they did, because their car is better than the Williams and it's better than the Alpine.
On this track, it hasn't been all season.
No, but this track, they could have got a lot more than they did. Because looking at the sprint, look at where they came in the sprint.
They could have, but Bottas retired.
Yeah, it's a shame about the engine failure.
And I think the safety car shook things up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the VSC, shall we?
Okay.
Literally, Bottas on the radio was saying engine's gone. So from the minute that he says the engine's gone, surely they should just throw out a VSC, because they know that he's going to be on the track rather than double yellows. He's going to get out of his car on the track.
The first thing they do is just immediately double yellows.
Yeah,
say,
but
like,
they took a while to introduce the VSC.
Yeah, because they had to like assess like is it a VSC, is it a safety car, like where's the driver stopped. But it's like double yellows, drivers have to slow right down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But surely they can just throw. Obviously, they did bring out a safety car in the end.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I think that's like the immediate protocol. It's like, all right, you know, it's like the fire extinguisher before you get the firefighters.
But surely VSC is a fire extinguisher and a safety car is the fire brigade.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, yeah. But yeah, the VSC definitely, or the safety car definitely mixed things up a little bit. Obviously, the cars all bunched up.
Mm-hmm. Well, what, the full safety car?
Yeah. Before the restart, when the safety car went in, cars all bunched up.
Okay, yes. Let's talk about this,
Let's
shall we?
talk about this, I think. This is kind of...
So what... I think it was caused by Alonso, right?
Alonso locked up.
Locked up, went a bit straighter on the corner.
Yeah.
And
So-
they hadn't gone yet either.
No.
So
George Russell was behind him. Piastri was behind him. Ricciardo was behind Piastri. And then Lance Stroll was behind
Yeah.
Ricciardo.
And then everyone else seemed to manage to stop.
Yeah.
And then Stroll just like plows like proper quick into the back of Ricciardo. And like, as if he's not even looking at him.
No, because on the onboard, and Daniel Ricciardo said he watched Lance Stroll's onboard.
Yeah.
He was looking at the apex. He wasn't even looking at Daniel's car.
Yeah.
And it really annoyed me because Lance was on the radio saying that Daniel was an idiot. Why was he braking?
Yeah, he said, "What an idiot." It's like,
it wound me up. I was
And-
like, clearly it's your fault.
and there's no excuse really. There's no justification for Stroll because you look at Ricciardo. He's like an inch away from Piastri. in
Yeah,
front.
he's
He
literally,
he
yeah.
hit him as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he hit him. That's where Piastri got his damage from.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, yeah, he literally was like his wheels were on Lance's front wing. It was a big hit. Like he should be going slow. He should be looking at the cars in front of him. As Daniel Ricciardo said, I saw Daniel Ricciardo's interview and he was like, I've just about calmed down, but now
Yeah.
I'm up there.
And then didn't after the race, even then, like obviously in the heat of the moment, you can give someone a pass because like they maybe can't see in front of them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're seeing red, whatever. Their race is ruined. It's like
Yeah.
the anger kind of takes over. But once you're out of the car, you can assess it from like the million different video angles they've got. And he's still trying to make excuses and say it wasn't his fault.
He definitely didn't take accountability.
He was like, oh, there was a concertina effect, blah, blah, blah. It's like,
Yeah.
no, everyone was braking for the corner. Yes, maybe a little bit differently to
Yeah.
how they should have done because of what was happening in front. But come on, you got to be ready for that.
There was room as well. It wasn't as if he had cars next to him. He could have moved the other way.
Mm-hmm.
It just the fact that he just didn't take accountability for it.
Yeah.
Accountability for it really annoyed me.
I did see a video where on that just before that corner, Max was weaving to warm up his tyres, and then he stopped weaving, went on a straight, and it looked like the cars behind had thought because he stopped weaving he'd gone, so started accelerating.
Okay.
And so potentially that's the concertina effect he was talking about, but yeah, there's not really an excuse because no one else managed to crash.
Yeah.
As Piastri
Yeah.
said.
In the cool down room, they showed on the screen, obviously the crash happened.
Oh yeah, Max laughing.
Yeah, Max laughed. And someone said to Max, that's your fault. Because obviously he's in charge of starting the restart. And obviously the concertina effect starts at him, but obviously it was all a joke. But yeah, not good for Ricciardo. He was having a pretty good weekend.
Oh yeah, okay. We're not allowed to predict that Ricciardo's going to do well anymore because I did it last race, you did it this race.
Yeah.
And both races he had very bad misfortune.
He's just super unlucky. He was doing what I predicted. He did better than Yuki. He beat him.
He's in points.
Yeah. He would beat him in qualifying. He beat him in the sprint. He beat him in qualifying again. He was ahead of him in the race. And then this happened. And not only that, he has a 3-place grid penalty in Miami.
For overtaking. Magnussen,
I
was it?
think so.
During the safety car.
Yep.
But he's not the only one either.
No. Well,
They got a penalty for that.
yeah, so Logan Sargent got a penalty for overtaking... I thought that was Magnussen.
No, maybe. I don't know.
During the safety car or the VSC. But that was a bit of a controversial one because one of them pitted and it wasn't by much. So he got his 10-second penalty. But he wasn't really having a great race anyway. So, yeah, he got that penalty in the race. Daniel Ricciardo got the penalty after the race. So, yeah, his bad luck continues into Miami.
Sargent had another spin this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Was that during sprint qualifying? I can't remember.
I think either sprint or normal qualifying.
I thought it might have been during the wet.
No.
It wasn't during...
I don't think it was. I think it was normal qualifying.
So much happened this weekend. It's hard to remember when things happened,
I know.
isn't it?
With the long weekends, it is kind of hard to remember when stuff happened.
But yeah, a little spin.
But yeah, speaking of Kevin Magnussen, as
Yes.
mentioned before, he took Yuki Tsunoda out. So the Racing Bulls didn't have a great weekend all in all. Mm-hmm. Yuki wasn't having a good weekend anyway.
Oh yeah, it was it on the restart?
Yeah.
And he just completely just took out his back wheel and spun him.
Yeah. But I watched it. I watched his onboard, and yeah, Magnussen.
Well, yeah, Nico
Poor from
Rosberg
him.
was just like, come on, that's just too much. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it was just poor from him.
What did you think of Nico Rosberg on commentary?
I actually wanted to mention this because I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoy him on commentary. I don't know what your opinion is.
It's nice to have his insights about being a modern F1 driver. I know it's been 8 years now since since he was in the car, but it's nice for him, to be like, oh, in that situation, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because of this, and this, and it's like he left racing room, and actually that's just really fair, hard racing. When actually, like, I like Crofty. His voice, he's like the voice of the sport.
Yeah.
It's not. You hear his voice, it's F1.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brundle's great. He brings really good color commentary, and his experience in F1, like, in a similar way to Nico, is invaluable, and it's like really good insights. But he drove
Years and years ago.
Yeah, a lot longer ago than
Yeah.
Nico. So, in terms of modern F1, he kind of doesn't know everything.
Yeah. I actually wanted to say exactly what you just said. And I noticed that was a couple of things that Nico would say. He said something about how Russell positioned his car in Piastri's blind spot. So Russell wasn't trying to overtake him at that point, but Piastri had to slow down because he wasn't aware where Russell was. And the commentary like that, I really enjoy.
Yeah, you don't think about that
because
stuff.
obviously these are the skills that the drivers have and they do.
Such
you're
high
just not-
technical mind games.
Exactly, and you're just not fully aware of them. But also, I love when Jensen Button's commentating as well, because they have that insight of knowing like what it's like to be in that car and why they position their cars in the way that they do, and the lines that they should be taking, and they can kind of judge. Obviously, if there's an incident, they can judge who's in the wrong or who's kind of being a bit.
Yeah, they can give a more informed judgment.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy it. Not to say that I don't enjoy Crofty and Martin Brundle, but I also like when Bernie Collins is on because she talks strategy. And I just think having all these people introduced into the Sky Sport commentary is good. I enjoy it.
I will say, I think Nico Rosberg needs a few more. Like, I know he's been on and off as part of the Sky team for a few years now, but he's not consistently been doing it. I think he needs a few more races just to get in the flow. Like I notice he interrupts people quite a lot, and that's a little bit jarring sometimes.
I didn't notice,
And
but
he's obviously quite a big personality.
yeah.
Says it how it is because he's German.
Yeah, I actually enjoy that. He just
So,
says it
Yeah.
straight up.
So I think if he once he gets, in the flow with his co-commentator, then he'll be, a natural fit to that team. And I think Jensen's a little bit better in that area, but is maybe a little bit less outspoken on some of the I guess, bolder opinions as Nico Rosberg.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah. Maybe Lewis Hamilton would be a pundit one day.
I doubt it. He
Yeah, I
doesn't
doubt
seem
it as
to
well,
like
yeah.
media responsibilities.
Yeah, true.
Righto, who else have we got to talk about?
Alpine.
Alpine.
The best race of the season for Alpine.
Well, it was for Gasly.
No, Ocon, P11.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, if you let me finish.
Okay, sorry. Oh, shut up.
It was for Gasly until his rear tyre flew off and hit one of the pit stop engineers.
I actually rewound that and I was like, oh my God. Because I didn't really clock it at first. No, I don't know either. I think Gasly tried to go before the tyres were on.
But the jack put him down, so...
Yeah.
But he can't go anywhere if he's jacked up in the air.
Yeah, so the jack put him down. He tried to go, but the tyre wasn't on properly.
No.
So clearly the communication was an issue. But yeah, that was kind of scary because obviously the tyres are... Well, I don't know personally, but the tyres are extremely heavy. And I can imagine the F1 car is pretty quick going off the mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that guy's okay.
Yeah, that was...
Guy or girl. Guy or gal.
There's a guy.
Oh, okay. Could be a girl.
But yes, Ocon, P11.
Yeah.
Almost points.
Pierre, P13.
Pierre's been quite unlucky this season so far.
Yeah, but also the Alpine's just not good.
It's not, no. Can't really judge either of them based on that car.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Oh well.
Oh well. But yeah, best of the season. But speaking about P11, I heard Crofty say that they're having a meeting this week about extending the points to P12, which we mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago. I wouldn't mind it up to P12.
No, and it's not giving the drivers up top more points. I've seen the proposal. It's just like the bottom drivers, instead of 4-2-1, it's 4-3-2-1, I think.
Okay, that would be good.
Or whatever it is, 5-4-3-2-1. Yeah, but
I think if it's done in the right way, it will be really good.
Yeah.
And I think it will give... Obviously, the top 5 teams are pretty set. Like, for me at the moment, for most people, it's obvious that Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston Martin are the top 5 teams.
Yeah.
And...
there's a rift between the rest.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, one of them won't have a good race, and then one driver from one of the other teams will get points.
Usually Lance Stroll.
Yeah, usually Lance Stroll, who got P16, I think, this time around in China. Yeah, and then that obviously gave Nico Hülkenberg a point, but the rest of the top 10 were
pretty locked in.
Yeah, pretty locked in. So it would be nice to see the kind of bottom 5 teams fight for those last few points, because every point is a lot of money for them. And obviously the more money that they can gain, the better their future seasons will be.
Well, it's not based on points, it's based on championship position.
Yeah, so the more points they get, the better in the championship they will be, and therefore they'll get more money.
Yes. So I wouldn't hate it. No.
Yeah, I think after our discussion in a few podcasts ago, I wouldn't like if they introduced points for the whole grid, even though I did question it before, because I was like, what is the point in the cars finishing? But then it just seems like what...
But it's like the argument of, like you said, then it's something to fight for. You might see more fights at the back, and then I don't know. We'll have to... You'd have to see how it works in practice.
I just think it's a bit... I think they'll fight a bit more if it's points or no points, rather than 1 point to... I don't know. I just think up to 12 is fine, but I think any more than that is not fine. Especially if they introduce other teams. Are they going to reevaluate it again and put it up to 14th?
Don't know.
Or are they going to have a certain thing where if they have X amount of teams, they're going to have up to X amount of points? I don't know.
But yeah, probably the last thing to talk about at the race is Zhou Guanyu's little celebrity
celebrity moment at the end.
Grid spot
Obviously,
on the
Lando
track.
drove into the pits when he was supposed to drive on the track, and then Zhou,
He tried reversing out, but
and then Zhou obviously got his own little
yeah.
spot on the
People
grid.
were hating about that. It's oh yeah, he got 14th and he gets his own little spot. It's
Yeah.
like he's the first Chinese driver ever, I think.
Yeah,
And so to be represented in China
I think it's nice.
for something that he's worked for his entire life.
Yeah.
You know, just let the man have his moment.
Yeah.
Like, why are you complaining about that?
And if it's something that they've just introduced and they're going to do it for other people, then
Well, it's
It's
probably
fine.
down to each track, but it's like it's a big moment. First
Yeah.
Chinese driver driving in China. It's like
and we
that's-
haven't been to China in
Only happens
5
once.
years. Yeah, we haven't been to China in 5 years. He's a first Chinese driver. All of these people have come out,
Yeah.
and that's their hero. Obviously
go.
all these Chinese people are seeing Zhou represent their country. I'm sure there's some young kids out there wanting to follow in his footsteps. So it's nice to see that he's being kind of represented.
Celebrated.
Yeah, celebrated. Yeah, and given the opportunity to. He obviously did well in the sprint and didn't get the opportunity after the sprint. So I don't see an issue with it. It's
Nah,
not.
I don't see an issue.
It's not like he got up on the podium and, you know. But it
No, he
was.
didn't get his own podium spot, no.
No, can you imagine? There's like Max, Lando,
would be a bit
Perez,
much.
and then
Yeah.
Zhou. But yeah, he got really emotional.
He did.
A big moment for him though. There's a picture of him going around watching it as a kid. And can you imagine that? Obviously, dreams as a kid and then they become reality. Crazy.
Right, shall we go over our predictions and
Yep.
see how
Not
inaccurate we are?
Yep.
Right, let me get mine up. Come on.
So sprint race. We didn't do qualifying for sprint. I predicted Sergio Perez to come third, Max Verstappen to come second, and Charles Leclerc to come first. And that didn't happen.
Certainly didn't. I remember I predicted something similar. I put Checo, Charles, Max, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
So it was not that.
No.
It was
think obviously Max
Checo,
first.
Lewis, Max.
Yeah. So we both got Checo,
2 out
right?
of 3. I put him in the right place as well.
Yes, I didn't put Max in the right place. Okay. I thought someone else would win the sprint. And I had probably about 1% hope, which is a lot more than I normally have, that potentially, when Lando got pole, I was like, oh my God, this could be it.
And it could have been.
It could have been. Coulda, woulda, coulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Did I say coulda, woulda, shoulda?
No,
Coulda,
you
woulda,
said-
coulda.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, coulda. No. I'm genuinely not doing that on purpose. Anyway.
It's coulda, woulda,
then-
coulda.
Okay. And then when Lewis was in the lead, I was like, oh.
Oh.
And then I was
no.
like, no. As soon as Max Verstappen was behind him, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the
Quali.
on to qualifying. So I put, what did I put?
What did you put?
Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen. Ferrari, obviously.
You ruled out Perez.
I ruled out Perez qualifying.
Yeah, Ferrari just weren't near the podium, really.
Pretty sure I didn't qualify in the top 3.
Well, they weren't near the podium, they were 4th and 5th. But
Perez didn't qualify in the top 3. So that's why I ruled out Perez.
what's the race?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Verstappen, Perez, Alonso
Okay.
as top 3. So Perez was up there.
Yeah, okay.
And then Norris P4.
Yep. I remember now. God, there's a lot. It's just a lot that goes on the weekend, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
really
yeah,
is.
I got that wrong. The Ferrari drivers were not in the top 3.
No.
I did find qualifying actually quite exciting because it was like P2, P2, P2,
Yeah,
P2.
not P1.
No, I fight for P2
Yeah, I put Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, 3, 2, 1.
for the race. For
For quality, I put Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen.
Okay.
So, bit wrong.
Hamilton.
Well, it's because of one of my bold predictions that we'll come on to.
And the race?
Well, I just said the race. Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen.
Okay. So you got Verstappen right. I put George, Checo, Max.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it very well could have been Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen. I don't think it could have been George, Perez, Verstappen.
no, but he wasn't too far down.
He was really far. And considering they had a safety car, that
Yeah.
Mercedes wasn't getting anywhere near
yeah.
the podium.
I don't know. I had a little
Unfortunately.
feeling about Mercedes this weekend, but obviously Hamilton did get P2 in the
I
sprint.
think it's because we thought because they're not good in the high speed corners at the start of the season. There's a lot of low speed corners, and we thought, and McLaren were saying, we're not going to be good in the low speed corners. We thought, maybe there's a chance that they're going to excel in this track and maybe it'd be a little bit better. No,
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep. Well.
But on to the bold predictions.
Yep.
Let me go first on this one
Okay.
because this one was a hard miss. Mm-hmm. Mercedes will be better than McLaren.
Oh, yeah. That is a hard miss.
Technically,
Lewis Hamilton.
came second in the sprint and was better than the McLaren in turn one.
So if we just end watching this weekend after turn one,
Technically, George Russell beat Oscar Piastri in the race.
technically, they're pretty even.
McLaren got more points on the weekend.
Okay.
And-
But technically, Lewis came second, Lando came second, Piastri came 7th, George came 6th. In the sprint, I can't remember. So, yeah,
But
McLaren.
there was a hard miss on that one.
That was a hard miss.
What was your number one?
So, my number one was Zhou would make Q2. And you said to me, in the sprint or the race? And I stupidly said the race.
The race.
And he did not make Q2 in the race, in
They made
qualifying the race.
Q3 in sprint qualifying.
Yeah, so I should have just said the sprint or just
Should've.
stuck with my guns and just made it a general comment. But never mind. But yeah, he made Q2, Q3 in the sprint.
My next one is there will be a crash in the sprint.
Technically.
Was
Yeah.
there?
I mean, Carlos and Alonso.
It's not crash.
No.
No. Puncture's not crash.
Yeah, they just little tap.
Yeah.
Does a tap not count as a little crash?
I don't know. If you kind of move lanes on the motorway and tap someone, would you say I crashed my car?
Yes.
No.
If I tapped someone,
I had an accident. I wouldn't say I crashed.
yeah, I would absolutely say I crashed my
Oh,
car.
you're so dramatic.
Yeah. This is dependent on how dramatic you are.
No, I think a crash is like you got to be kind of
How often do you tap people on the motorway?
never.
Okay.
But I mean, in F1, I think a crash, you got to be in the wall or
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Crashing out the race.
Okay.
No,
Well, I mean,
no
Alonso
crash.
technically did retire, so
No crash in the sprint.
I don't know why I'm fighting for you to be the to get your
Go on,
stuff
what's
right.
your number two?
Number 2, Danny Rick would beat Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, you're not allowed to predict that again.
Technically.
Neither of us are.
All of our predictions qualify under the technically
He was
category.
cursed.
Daniel
you?
Ricciardo, I apologise. I cursed Daniel Ricciardo. However, predicting he did better than Yuki wasn't wrong. He beat him in both qualifyings. He beat him in the sprint, and he was beating him in the
He
race.
was better this weekend.
And technically, Yuki did DNF before Daniel. So, Daniel did better than Yuki.
Yeah. All right, give you that.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, my third one is there'll be a more mixed up grid with more experienced drivers qualifying better. And technically,
Of course.
on the sprint,
This word is
it
banned.
happened. You had Hamilton, you had Alonso, you
Yeah.
had Bottas in Q3.
Yeah, true. But then there were some non-experienced drivers. Zhou Guanyu's never driven this track before, and he was in the top 10.
Yeah. But I'm sure he's probably driven it a million times on
Yeah,
the simulator.
true. You would, wouldn't you? Yeah, I would say it was surprising to see Hamilton P2. Alonso's just
Yeah.
Alonso, isn't he?
But it was fun because it was raining.
Yeah.
So that made it more interesting. But Yeah, for normal qualifying, that didn't really hold true.
No.
It was kind of business as usual.
Yeah. Standard.
All right, what was your third?
My third
prediction?
was more than 5 DNFs.
And was there?
No.
No.
3 DNFs. Yuki, Daniel, Bottas.
Shame.
If you want to count sprint, 4. There's 4 DNFs.
Nah.
But no.
And my fourth, if you remember, was 2 words.
Wet race.
Wet race. Technically, it was a wet qualifying.
No. Did you hear at the beginning of the when they were lining up on the grid, Max was like, "Oh, I can feel a few drizzles."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, could
Wet
it be?
race.
Could it be a wet race?" No, it was not.
unfortunately
Nothing
not.
came of that. But I think that would have been quite exciting because the McLaren comes alive in the wet. Well, Orlando.
Orlando
Who?
Orlando.
Bloom?
Why would it be him?
I don't know. Do you know any other
No.
Orlando? Legolas.
Your number 4?
My number 4. The sprint and the race winner will be different.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Didn't happen. Thanks, Lando.
Didn't happen because of Verstappen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Lando. God. Could have been time. But I just don't think Lando wanted to win his first race as a sprint race.
Yeah, true.
Must have been it. Never mind.
But you know what? Let's just try and predict better next time, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, next time is a sprint as well in Miami.
Yeah, it is.
So we've got a long weekend again.
Yes, and it's instead of early, it's late, isn't it? In the afternoon.
Probably. I mean,
It's
Miami,
America.
how far is Florida ahead of us?
Behind
us, sorry,
for 5
yeah.
hours, I think.
5 hours, okay. Yeah, it'll probably be in
Probably
the
like
evening
6
then.
p.m. Okay. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up quite nicely. You know, there's been a lot to talk about, but we talked about it all.
Yeah, probably a few things we missed, but the general main things for this weekend.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if we've missed anything, leave a comment. Tell us how wrong we were.
Tell us if our opinions are great or if our opinions are absolute trash.
Either way, helps us to improve for next time.
And either way, thank you for listening if you've got this far.
Indeed. But yeah, we'll catch everyone for Miami predictions in about a week's time. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, please subscribe, please consider following on socials, and we'll catch everyone next time.
Bye.